Hi, I'm Jeremy, and you're listening to Verse by Verse. The city of Jerusalem plays a prominent role in the story of the Bible. But do you know the story of how it became Jerusalem? When Israel first entered the Promised Land, there were many wicked, corrupt nations living there, marked by God for destruction. Israel did a pretty mediocre job at driving those nations out, and some of them hung around for hundreds of years, existing within Israel's borders during that time. 7 years after David became king, he attacked one of those nations, the Jebusites. Their city, Jebus, was well fortified and difficult to assault, which was part of the reason it had remained undefeated for so many centuries. David promised his troops that whoever made their way into the Jebusite stronghold and began the attack would become captain of the army, and it was Joab, David's nephew, who took up the challenge. Now, the Hebrew of the biblical account is a little difficult to translate, but apparently Joab climbed his way into Jebus through a water shaft and began the attack. Through his efforts, the city ultimately fell. The Jebusites were defeated, and Jebus was renamed Jerusalem, the city from which David would rule all of Israel. What Joab did was incredibly impressive. He led the charge into what had been, for hundreds of years, an unassailable city. But if you know Joab's story, you also know that it doesn't end well. He proved himself over time to be a talented military strategist. He was instrumental in many important future battles. But he was also a harsh, brutal man who could sometimes let anger and jealousy drive his actions. More than once, Joab assassinated political rivals he either distrusted or held grudges against, even when it risked destabilizing the entire kingdom. In the end, David's son Solomon would execute Joab as punishment for those murders, which, after a long and convoluted journey, finally brings us to today's verse. Proverbs 16:32. He who is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he who rules his spirit than he who takes a city. That's a proverb from Solomon himself. Solomon had known the mighty man who had captured Jerusalem, the city where Solomon had his throne. But Solomon had also given the command to execute that mighty man as a result of his own hot-headed, reckless decisions. Taking a city is a big deal. It requires incredible strategy, skill, and determination. But do you know what's even more impressive? Ruling your own spirit. Becoming angry at the right things in the right way at the right time. That is harder to do. Can you do it? I'm going to guess that no one listening to this is someone with both the ability and opportunity to conquer a city. But with God's help, we each have the opportunity to do something even greater, to conquer and rule our own spirits.
Verse by Verse is a Life, Hope, and Truth podcast. Check out the show notes to find more free content, like videos, articles, and booklets in our Learning Center.